Mr. Jones was so excited. He had worked hard his whole life, saving every penny he could. Finally, the day had come. He was ready to buy his very first house. He imagined having a big backyard where he could have barbecues with his friends and family. He dreamed of planting a garden filled with colorful flowers. He'd spent weeks looking at houses online, carefully searching for the perfect one. He wanted a place that felt like home, a place where he could build happy memories. He looked forward to painting the walls his favorite colors and decorating with his favorite things. Mr. Jones was a kind and friendly man. He always had a smile for everyone he met. He believed in treating people with respect, and he expected the same in return. He was optimistic about finding the perfect house and starting a new chapter in his life. He envisioned sunny mornings sipping coffee on his porch and cozy evenings reading books by the fireplace. This house wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was the foundation for his future. He was ready to find it. The online listings became Mr. Jones's favorite pastime. Every evening, after a long day at work, he would settle down with his laptop and browse through hundreds of houses. He looked at every detail, from a number of bedrooms to the size of the kitchen. He imagined himself living in each one, picturing how he would arrange the furniture and what colors he would paint the walls. One day he saw it. It was a beautiful two-story house with a bright red door and a big, green lawn. The picture showed a spacious living room with a fireplace and a modern kitchen with shiny appliances. But the best part was the backyard. It was huge, perfect for those barbecues he had been dreaming about. There was even a big tree that looked perfect for a tire swing. The house was also in a great location, just a short drive from his job. This was important because Mr. Jones hated sitting in traffic. He could also walk to the nearby park, where he liked to go for runs on the weekends. This house seemed to have everything he wanted. It felt like it was meant to be his. He knew he had to see it in person. With excitement bubbling inside him, Mr. Jones quickly found a realtor's contact information listed on the website. Her name was Mrs. Smith, and her picture showed a woman with a warm smile and kind eyes. He picked up the phone and dialed the number, his heart pounding with anticipation. Mrs. Smith answered the phone with a cheerful greeting. Mr. Jones introduced himself and told her he was interested in seeing the house with the red door. He explained how much he loved the pictures and the location. But then Mrs. Smith's tone changed. She became hesitant and less friendly. She told Mr. Jones that the house was probably already under contract, even though the listing was still active online. She mumbled something about needing to check with the sellers and said she would call him back later that day. Mr. Jones waited patiently, but the call never came. He tried calling Mrs. Smith again the next day, but she didn't answer. He left a message, but she didn't return his call. He started to feel a knot of worry forming in his stomach. Something didn't seem right. Why wouldn't she show him the house? Days turned into a week, and still, Mrs. Smith hadn't returned Mr. Jones's calls. He checked the online listing every morning, hoping to see that the house was no longer available, confirming her excuse. But the listing remained active, taunting him with the image of his dream home. A troubling thought began to creep into Mr. Jones's mind. He tried to push it away, but it kept coming back. Was Mrs. Smith refusing to show him the house because he was black? He had heard stories about this kind of thing happening, but he never thought it would happen to him. He thought about all the times he had been treated unfairly because of his skin color. The subtle glances, the whispered comments, the assumptions people made about him. He always tried to ignore it, to rise above it, but it was hard. Now, staring at the picture of the house with the red door, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being discriminated against. The thought made him angry and sad. He deserved a chance to see the house, just like anyone else. He decided he wouldn't let this go without a fight. He would find out what was really going on. Fueled by a mix of anger and disappointment, Mr. Jones decided he wouldn't let Mrs. Smith's actions go unanswered. He knew he had to report her behavior to someone. He found the name of the real estate company she worked for and searched for their phone number online. Taking a deep breath, he dialed the number. A receptionist answered, and Mr. Jones politely explained that he wanted to file a complaint against one of their realtors, Mrs. Smith. The receptionist listened patiently and transferred him to someone who could help. Mr. Jones explained the situation to the person on the other end of the line, detailing how Mrs. Smith had refused to show in the house and hadn't returned his calls. He emphasized that he believed he was being discriminated against because of his race. The person on the phone apologized for Mr. Jones's experience and assured him that they would investigate the matter. They took down all the details and promised to have someone from the company contact him soon. Mr. Jones hung up the phone, feeling a small sense of relief that he had reported the incident. But he knew the fight was far from over. He still wanted to see that house. The next day, Mr. Jones received a phone call from a man who identified himself as Mr. Davis, the owner of the real estate company. Mr. Davis sounded stern and important. He said he was calling to address the complaint Mr. Jones had filed against Mrs. Smith. Mr. Davis started by saying he was very sorry to hear about Mr. Jones's experience. He assured Mr. Jones that his company did not tolerate discrimination of any kind. However, his tone quickly shifted. He became defensive, suggesting that there must have been a misunderstanding. Then, he said something that made Mr. Jones's blood run cold. "Now, General," Mr. Davis said, "I'm sure we can clear this whole thing up. Just tell me what it is you really want." Mr. Jones was stunned. He hadn't served in the military, and he had never met Mr. Davis before. Why would he call him General? The word hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Mr. Jones knew, deep down, that this wasn't just a casual slip of the tongue. It was something much more sinister. This call was not going the way he had hoped. The word General echoed in Mr. Jones's mind long after he hung up the phone. He knew that for some people, especially some white people, calling a black man General was a way to be disrespectful. It was a way of putting him down, of reminding him of his place in society, or what they thought his place should be. It was like they were saying, "I see you as a stereotype, not as a person." He had heard the term used before, sometimes in movies or on TV, always with a negative connotation. He knew it was a way to diminish black men, to strip them of their individuality and reduce them to a caricature. It was a way of saying, "You think you're important, but you're not." Mr. Jones felt a surge of anger and hurt. He had worked so hard to earn his place in the world, to be respected and treated fairly. He had saved his money, followed the rules, and dreamed of owning a home. And now this man, Mr. Davis, was trying to take that away from him with a single, loaded word. It wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about respect, dignity, and fighting against prejudice. He knew he had to do something. That evening, Mr. Jones shared his experience with his family. He told his wife, Sarah, and his two children, Michael and Emily, everything that had happened. He explained how Mrs. Smith had refused to show him the house, and how Mr. Davis had called him General. Sarah was furious. She couldn't believe that something like this could still happen in their town. She hugged Mr. Jones tightly and told him that he deserved better. Michael and Emily were also upset. They didn't understand why someone would treat their father so unfairly. "Dad, you have to do something," Michael said. "You can't let them get away with this." Emily nodded in agreement. "Yeah, Dad," she said. "You have to stand up for yourself." Mr. Jones's family support gave him strength. He realized that he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for his family and for everyone who had ever been discriminated against. He knew he had to take action, not just for himself, but to set an example for his children. He wanted them to grow up in a world where everyone was treated with respect, regardless of the color of their skin. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to fight. The next morning, Mr. Jones decided to seek professional advice. He knew he couldn't navigate this situation alone. He remembered hearing about a lawyer in town who specialized in housing discrimination cases. Her name was Ms. Evans, and she had a reputation for being a fierce advocate for her clients. He looked up Ms. Evans's law office online and called to schedule a consultation. He explained briefly what had happened, and Ms. Evans agreed to meet with him the following day. When Mr. Jones arrived at Ms. Evans's office, he was nervous but determined. Ms. Evans greeted him warmly and listened attentively as he recounted his experiences with Mrs. Smith and Mr. Davis. She asked him detailed questions and took careful notes. After hearing his story, Ms. Evans explained his legal options. She told him that it was illegal to discriminate against someone based on their race when it came to housing. She believed he had a strong case and offered to represent him. Mr. Jones felt a wave of relief wash over him. He knew he had made the right decision. He finally had someone on his side who could help him fight for justice. He felt hope again. Ms. Evans immediately began working on Mr. Jones's case. Her first step was to gather as much evidence as possible. She asked Mr. Jones to provide her with copies of all the emails and text messages he had exchanged with Mrs. Smith. She also asked him to write down everything he could remember about his conversations with Mrs. Smith and Mr. Davis. Ms. Evans also decided to do some investigating of her own. She started by looking into Mrs. Smith's past transactions. She wanted to see if there was a pattern of discrimination. She contacted other realtors in the area and asked if they had heard anything about Mrs. Smith's behavior. She also looked into Mr. Davis's background. She wanted to know if he had a history of making discriminatory remarks. She searched online for any news articles or blog posts that might shed light on his character. As she dug deeper, Ms. Evans began to uncover some troubling information. She found evidence that suggested Mrs. Smith had been less than forthcoming with other potential buyers of color. And she discovered that Mr. Davis had a reputation for being insensitive and out of touch. The more she learned, the more convinced she became that Mr. Jones had been the victim of discrimination. She was determined to get him justice. With a solid foundation of evidence, Ms. Evans drafted letters to Mrs. Smith and Mr. Davis. The letters outlined Mr. Jones's allegations of housing discrimination and demanded that they take immediate action to remedy the situation. She detailed Mrs. Smith's refusal to show the house and Mr. Davis's inappropriate use of the term general. Ms. Evans made it clear that if they did not respond to her demands within a specified time frame, she would be forced to file a lawsuit against them. She hoped that the threat of legal action would be enough to make them take the matter seriously. She sent the letters certified mail, ensuring that Mrs. Smith and Mr. Davis would have to sign for them, providing proof that they had received the allegations. She also sent a copy of the letter to the real estate company's corporate office, putting them on notice of the potential lawsuit. Ms. Evans knew that confronting Mrs. Smith and Mr. Davis was a crucial step in seeking justice for Mr. Jones. She believed that holding them accountable for their actions was the only way to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. She waited patiently for their response, prepared to fight for Mr. Jones's rights. Within a week, Ms. Evans received responses from both Mrs. Smith and Mr. Davis. Both denied any wrongdoing. Mrs. Smith claimed that she had simply been busy and that the house was, in fact, under contract shortly after Mr. Jones first contacted her. She insisted that her race had nothing to do with her actions. Mr. Davis echoed Mrs. Smith's sentiments. He stated that he never intended to offend Mr. Jones and that the term general was simply a figure of speech he sometimes used with clients he respected. He also claimed that his company had a long history of serving diverse communities and that discrimination was not tolerated. Ms. Evans wasn't convinced. She knew that people often denied discriminatory behavior, even when the evidence was stacked against them. She also knew that it would be difficult to prove intent. However, she wasn't deterred. She had more investigating to do. She knew that if she dug deep enough, she would find the truth. She prepared herself to continue the fight. This was just the beginning. Ms. Evans decided to delve deeper into Mrs. Smith's past clients. She contacted several people who had previously worked with Mrs. Smith and asked them about their experiences. She was especially interested in speaking with people of color who had tried to buy homes through her. One woman, named Ms. Johnson, told Ms. Evans that she had also had a difficult time getting Mrs. Smith to show her properties. Ms. Johnson said that Mrs. Smith had repeatedly canceled appointments and had been slow to respond to her calls and emails. Ms. Johnson had eventually given up and found another realtor. Another man, named Mr. Williams, shared a similar story. He said that Mrs. Smith had shown him only houses in predominantly black neighborhoods, even though he had told her he was interested in seeing homes in other areas of town. He felt that Mrs. Smith was trying to steer him away from white neighborhoods. These accounts provided Ms. Evans with valuable evidence to support Mr. Jones's claim of discrimination. The testimonies painted a picture of a realtor who was deliberately making it difficult for people of color to buy homes. She felt she was getting closer to the truth. As Mr. Jones's story became known in the community, a wave of support began to build. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers rallied around him, offering words of encouragement and expressing their outrage at what had happened. A local community group organized a rally in front of the real estate company's office. People held signs that read "Fair Housing for All" and "Justice for Mr. Jones." They chanted slogans and demanded that the company take responsibility for its employees' actions. The local newspaper and television station picked up the story, bringing even more attention to Mr. Jones's case. People from all walks of life called in to express their support. Many shared their own experiences with discrimination in housing and other areas of life. Mr. Jones was overwhelmed by the outpouring of support. He realized that he wasn't alone in his fight. He felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. He knew that with the support of his community, he could overcome this injustice and achieve his dream of owning a home. The community was there for him. Faced with mounting evidence, community pressure, and negative publicity, the real estate company decided to reach out to Ms. Evans to discuss a possible settlement. They knew that a lawsuit would be costly and damaging to their reputation. Ms. Evans agreed to negotiate, but she made it clear that she would not accept anything less than full justice for Mr. Jones. She demanded a financial payment to compensate him for the emotional distress and discrimination he had suffered. She also insisted that the company implement mandatory diversity training for all of its employees. The negotiations were tense and difficult. The company initially resisted Ms. Evans's demands, but she refused to back down. She argued that it was essential to hold Mrs. Smith and Mr. Davis accountable for their actions and to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. Finally, after several weeks of negotiations, the parties reached an agreement. The real estate company agreed to pay Mr. Jones a significant sum of money and to implement a comprehensive diversity training program. Ms. Evans had secured a victory for her client. The settlement included not only financial compensation for Mr. Jones, but also a public apology from the real estate company. They acknowledged that Mrs. Smith's actions were unacceptable and that Mr. Davis's remarks were inappropriate. They vowed to create a more inclusive and welcoming environment for all potential homebuyers. As part of the agreement, Mrs. Smith was required to undergo sensitivity training and mentoring to learn how to better serve diverse clients. Mr. Davis was also required to participate in diversity training and to issue a personal apology to Mr. Jones. The real estate company also agreed to review its policies and procedures to ensure that they were fair and equitable for all. They committed to actively recruiting and hiring more realtors of color and to promoting diversity within their organization. Mr. Jones was pleased with the terms of the settlement. He felt that it was a victory not only for himself, but also for others who had experienced discrimination in housing. He hoped that it would send a message that such behavior would not be tolerated. The real estate company held a press conference to issue its public apology and announce the changes it would be making to its policies and procedures. Mr. Davis stood before the cameras and expressed his sincere regret for the pain and suffering he had caused Mr. Jones. He explained that he had come to understand the harmful impact of his words and actions, and that he was committed to creating a more inclusive and equitable workplace. He also announced that Mrs. Smith had been suspended without pay and would be required to complete a comprehensive diversity training program before she would be allowed to return to work. The company also unveiled its new diversity and inclusion initiatives, which included actively recruiting and hiring more realtors of color, providing ongoing training to all employees on issues of diversity and cultural sensitivity, and establishing a community advisory board to provide feedback and guidance on its policies and practices. The hope was that these changes would make a real difference. The company promised to do better. With the settlement behind him, Mr. Jones was finally able to focus on his dream of buying a home. He decided to work with a different realtor, one who had a reputation for being fair and honest. This new realtor, Mr. Thompson, was eager to help Mr. Jones find the perfect house. Mr. Thompson showed Mr. Jones several properties in different neighborhoods. He listened carefully to Mr. Jones's needs and preferences and made sure to show him houses that met his criteria. After a few weeks of searching, Mr. Jones found a house that he loved even more than the one with the red door. This house had a big, sunny kitchen, a cozy fireplace, and a beautiful backyard with a swing set. It was perfect for his family. Mr. Jones put in an offer on the house, and it was accepted. He was overjoyed. He couldn't wait to move in and start making memories with his family. This time, the process was smooth and stress-free. He felt welcomed and respected. His dream was finally coming true. He was going to be a homeowner. Mr. Jones's story didn't end with just his own victory. It became a symbol of hope and courage for others facing discrimination. People who had been afraid to speak out before were now inspired to come forward and share their own experiences. Ms. Evans received countless calls from individuals who had been treated unfairly by realtors and landlords. She was able to help many of them file complaints and pursue legal action. Mr. Jones himself became an advocate for fair housing. He spoke at community events and shared his story with anyone who would listen. He encouraged people to know their rights and to stand up for themselves when they were being discriminated against. He emphasized that fighting discrimination was not just about individual victories, but about creating a more just and equal society for everyone. He believed that everyone deserved a fair chance to achieve their dreams, regardless of their race or background. His bravery helped others to find their own. He showed them that it was possible to win. Years later, Mr. Jones still lived in the house he had worked so hard to buy. He had planted a beautiful garden in the backyard, just as he had always dreamed. He often hosted barbecues for his friends and family, filling the air with laughter and good cheer. His children grew up in that house, playing in the backyard and making memories that would last a lifetime. They learned the importance of standing up for what is right and treating everyone with respect. Mr. Jones continued to be an active member of his community, volunteering his time and resources to help others. He never forgot the challenges he had faced, and he was determined to make a difference in the world. He often reflected on his journey, from the initial disappointment of being denied a chance to see his dream home to the ultimate victory of achieving justice and inspiring others. He knew that it hadn't been easy, but it had been worth it. He proved that even ordinary people can make extraordinary changes when they stand together against injustice. He knew his story would be told for generations. And so, Mr. Jones's story serves as a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, it is possible to overcome injustice and achieve your dreams. His courage to speak out against discrimination not only transformed his own life, but also inspired countless others to fight for their rights. He always told people, know your rights. It's important to know what you are entitled to and what protections the law provides. If you feel like you're being discriminated against, don't be afraid to speak up. Report it. There are people who want to help. There are laws in place to protect you. Mr. Jones emphasized that fighting discrimination is a collective effort. He encouraged people to support organizations that promote fair housing and equal opportunity. He believed that by working together, we can create a world where everyone has a fair chance to succeed. His legacy lives on through the many lives he touched and the countless individuals he inspired. Mr. Jones's story will continue to be told for generations to come, reminding us that even ordinary people can make extraordinary changes when they stand up for what is right. Remember his name. Remember his fight. Remember his victory.